Today's lesson is on commonly confused words, part 1, so there will be more to come in the future. How exciting. This is CS number 92. The first sequence of words that we're going to look at is a lot. Now, the way we say it, I would like a lot of that, please. It sounds like it's one word, but actually, you need to have a space between it. It is always two words. My grandparents have a lot of antiques. A lot as two words means many, like I have a lot of fish. A lot with two L's and no space is to share, to allot out the apples in proportions. But a lot, like this, is a spelling mistake or a town in India. Next, we will look at all together versus all together. All together as two words means together in a group. All together as one word means everything is included completely or entirely. All together is an adverb. Some sample sentences are, we found the cows all together down by the stream. So the cows were all in a group by the stream. Whereas for altogether, there are 10 books in the series. So that would be like entirely, altogether. But if you said the 10 books are all together on my shelf, that would be the two-word one. And he wasn't altogether surprised, right? There, altogether could be like completely or entirely. He wasn't completely surprised. He wasn't entirely surprised. So you can use the meanings up here to see if you can replace them to make sense, right? Together in a group, there are 10 books in the series. No, that doesn't make sense. But included, there are 10 books in the series. That makes more sense. Our next set of words is accept versus accept. To accept something is a verb. It's an action word. It means to receive or to agree to something. So for example, you could say, are you sure Miss Brady will still accept your assignment? Will she still receive it? That would go here. The word accept can either be a preposition or a conjunction, and it means not included or but. So all the boys except Nicholas have their uniforms. All the boys but Nicholas, right? So this means it's not included as opposed to receive or agree to something. Our next head-to-head is advice versus advise. Advice is a noun that means like suggestion, right? Advice are the suggestions that you give. So you could say, why did you not follow the doctor's advice? Advise is a verb, an action, to give advice. So when you advise, you give advice. Okay, so advise is the verb, advice is the noun. Our next head-to-head does not sound similar, but they have similar meanings. Between and among. Between is for two persons or objects, and among is more than two persons or objects. So between, stretch the rope between the two fir trees, whereas divide the cake among the 5 boys. So you wouldn't actually say between the 5 boys, you'd say among the 5 boys. But if it was 2 boys, you could say split the cake between the 2 boys. But as soon as it's 3, it's among the 3 boys. Affect versus affect. Affect, the verb, means to make something happen to or to have an effect on. So the lack of rain will affect the crops this year. So you'll always notice this is in the place of a verb. Affect, the noun, is something that happens as a result of something else. So affect is to have an effect on, right? It's that change that happens. So it always is in the place of a noun. So you could say, what effect did the medicine have on your grandmother? I think you'll probably be okay with this one. Learn versus teach. So to learn is to get knowledge or to acquire more knowledge or skill, whereas to teach is to communicate or share knowledge. So last summer I learned how to develop black and white film. Mrs. Nazar teaches French at Maple Grove School. Our last one for this lesson is loose versus lose. Loose is an adjective meaning not firmly tied or fastened. So like my younger sister has a loose tooth. Lose is an action or a verb that means to misplace something. So did you lose your keys? Part A is going to ask you to circle the correct word that's in parentheses. So if we look at the sentence, who let the dog lose, or who let the dog loose? Now, most likely, you're worried about letting the dog out and not be firmly tied in the backyard. So that would be loose. If you let the dog lose, it means that the dog lost a race. Part B has 18 sentences, and 13 out of 18 have an error. So you need to decide whether it has an error, so then you'll cross it out and write the correct word on the line, or if it is correct, then you don't cross anything out and you would just write correct on the line instead. Now in this example, where did you loose your watch? Now, you probably didn't loose your watch, and in fact in this case you would have had to say loosen. So they're probably looking for the word lose. Where did you lose your watch? So just cross it out in the sentence and then write it on the line beside it. If you don't need to cross it out, put the word correct on the line instead. Part C is going to ask you to write your own sentences with 4 of the words from the list of commonly confused words. When you're finished, there'll be a Google form for you to fill out.